that breaking news, the next 48 hours are crucial as the U.S. waits for Iran to retaliate. It comes after the U.S. struck several Iranian nuclear sites Saturday. Thanks for joining us at 6 o'clock. I'm Lindsay Stone. The attacks drawing mixed reactions on both sides of the aisle. Last night's attack, nicknamed Operation Midnight Hammer, targeted 3 different Iranian facilities. President Donald Trump saying the facilities were completely and totally obliterated. And at a press conference today, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth provided more insight into the strikes.
Last night, on President Trump's orders, U.S. Central Command conducted a precision strike in the middle of the night against 3 nuclear facilities in Iran, Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan, in order to destroy or severely degrade Iran's nuclear program. And as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs will demonstrate, it was an incredible and overwhelming success. The operation President Trump planned was bold and it was brilliant, showing the world that American deterrence is back.
The attack on Iran was carried out using B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, which are based in Missouri's Whiteman Air Force Base. And take a look at this video here. It shows those bombers returning to Missouri from that mission just a short time ago. The B-2 bombers have long-distance strike capabilities and can carry thousands of pounds of payload. They've been used in military operations all across the Middle East. And since launching the attacks last night, leaders in Washington have been outspoken on the president's decision to strike Iran. Vice President J.D. Vance praising the move this morning on Meet the Press. NBC's Kristen Welker asking the vice president if this puts us at war with Iran.
Mr. Vice President, is the United States now at war with Iran?
No, Kristen, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program. And let me just say, Kristen, that we're incredibly grateful and proud of the American Air Force pilots who did an incredible job last night. The operation was really extraordinary.
Meanwhile, not all Republicans are praising America's involvement. Kentucky Representative Thomas Massie taking to X early this morning saying, quote, "When 2 countries are bombing each other daily in a hot war and a third country joins the bombing, that's an act of war," end quote. It goes on to say it's not right for the Trump administration to say we are not at war just so they can make war. Now, after Massie's strong words against the recent attacks on Iran, Trump calling to replace the Northern Kentucky congressman during next year's election. The president taking to Truth Social saying Massie is not MAGA and is a, quote, loser. Trump promising that an American patriot will run against Massie and that he will personally campaign in Northern Kentucky against him. Still, many Republican lawmakers are supportive of the attacks launched by the U.S. Georgia Senator Lindsey Graham addressing those concerns that the president acted irresponsibly by launching the attacks without approval from Congress. Take a listen.
He was within his Article 2 authority. Congress can declare war or cut off funding. We can't be the commander-in-chief. You can't have 535 commander-in-chiefs. If you don't like what the president does in terms of war, you can cut off the funding.
Other politicians following in Senator Graham's footsteps today, taking time to praise the White House's actions. Ohio Senator John Husted took to social media saying, quote, "Iran's stated goal is death to America, and it has made its intent to develop nuclear weapons clear." He goes on to praise the president for taking steps to stop the production of these weapons. And Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell praised the work of the service members who carried out the order, writing, quote, "The United States' interest in denying Iran a nuclear weapon, in standing with our ally Israel, and in reestablishing credible deterrent power is undeniable and urgent."